Welcome everyone to Game Vault Podcast. I'm your host Tom Schuster. Joining me tonight are Jenny Aquino and Mark Myers. Tonight we'll be discussing our favorite classic PC games, the most recent Nintendo Direct and Sony State of Play, and we'll be reviewing our Retro Roulette game, Diddy Kong Racing for the Nintendo 64. But before we get to all of that, what have you guys been playing? Let's go with Mark this week, because I feel like Mark plays more games than the rest of
us. So this week, I picked up Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury. Have not gotten to the Bowser Fury part yet, but Tom, I blame you. Why didn't you tell me Super Mario 3D World was a good game?
Because I'm a bad Nintendo gamer, and I've had it sitting on my shelf forever and never played it.
Yeah, so my notorious inability at platformers notwithstanding, I actually made it through 3 worlds with getting all 3 stars in the stamp. And haven't gone crazy and made sure I got the top of each flag, which I guess is the way to get 100% in that game. But yeah, having a lot of fun with it. It's starting to get a little difficult in World 4 in terms of getting all 3 stars in the stamp. They're hiding them a little bit better. But I still can finish the level, so still having fun with it. It would be a lot more fun with more than one person, I would assume, but also more chaotic. Yep. So, it was eye-opening experience because of all the systems that have come out recently, I didn't have a Wii U.
Right.
So I never got to experience some of the things. Like I still haven't experienced the greatness of the Wind Waker remake. I still had to do all the not quality for life stuff from the GameCube version for that game.
You're the target audience for this then.
Yeah. So I was excited. It was kind of an impulse buy because of something we'll talk about later. Had happened the same day I purchased this. But I, just having some fun with it. That's the main game I've been playing a lot of. I don't know if I mentioned it last time, but I bought a bunch of games on the Lunar New Year Steam sale and really only been playing Anno 1440. The Anno games are interesting, but also very complicated in a way that if you mess up one thing, sometimes it's better to just restart if you don't understand one concept. I'm thinking of restarting my town because it took me until I almost bankrupt my town to realize that I should have been sailing to another island they gave me that I got for free by finding the Orient. And I'm going, why can't I farm or grow any of this stuff like dates and spices? There's like nowhere to do it on this island they give me. Here I'm supposed to go to the island that I'm given and that. So, so thinking of restarting or just seeing if I start mining there and, trading, if it'll just give me make my rich people happy and therefore they'll pay their taxes. Those kind of games, I love. So playing that, for some reason got into some Madden again, just playing some Madden. I don't know why, but cooled off NBA 2K a little bit and went to Madden. Trying to think, what else have I been playing? I think that's about it. The Call of Duty multiplayer still doing great. Had the most ridiculous gun on the planet.
Yes, you do.
I love it. It got even more ridiculous. I can't wait until you guys see it Wednesday.
Oh God.
It's I beat Hitman 3, but I don't know if that was before the last podcast or not. I'm just waiting for something to come out really to grab my attention for a longer period of time. I'm considering getting Persona 5 Strikers, but I'm not sure.
Because you have a perfectly good, crazy game that you would love sitting in your cabinet right now.
Yeah, I know.
Chain. You should really try it.
I should just start an LP on our YouTube channel of games in Mark's Steam library that he has purchased and never played.
I got plenty of those too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the reason this podcast exists, to get me to play these games.
Yeah, and also the Now I have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so I got games in there now that I'm downloading to never play, like Dragon Quest XI. So what I mean is that there's always a game, one or two games a year that sort of just grab my attention for an extended period of time. Still waiting for that one. I haven't really looked at the release schedule to see what's coming, because it's not really till like April, May, maybe something popping up in March that I'm forgetting that the audience is screaming at me about. But I will keep you updated on my magical world of trying to beat a platformer by myself, and let you know how I do that. So yeah, that's about all I've been playing.
All right, Jen, how about you?
So as usual, pretty much the same things I said I was playing last podcast. Dead by Daylight. I just want to say that they did come out with a bug fix update, and I am much happier again. So I know the last podcast was me tearing Dead by Daylight apart, and now I'm coming back a little bit. I forgive them sort of. I'm a little frustrated because they're coming out with a new killer and survivor combo, and they put up a teaser trailer, and like it's the most bullshit teaser trailer because it's literally like a clip of the music in it, and it's supposed to hint at the next killer and survivor. But there's like all these wild theories, and I wanted so much more out of this little teaser trailer, and I didn't get it, so I'm disappointed. But I'm looking forward to that. Nothing really has changed outside of the bug updates though, or the bug fixes. And I'm playing Phasmophobia. I've been soloing it a lot this week. I'm up to, so I think I reached level 100 on stream, and now I'm up to almost 130 by myself. So that's been fun. I've been a lot braver than I ever have been. So there's that. I've also been playing a lot of the mobile game I mentioned last podcast, Raid Vikings. I think I said this last time, but a big streamer that I follow had been asking his followers to donate the game with his link because he would get like a kickback from it. Yeah. So I donated it because he's, again, one of my favorite streamers, and he deserves the support. And I'm kind of addicted to it now. It started out being kind of overwhelming where there's so much going on one screen that it's kind of hard to like remember where all the buttons, like what all the buttons do. But it's pretty good now that I've like leveled up my town and everything. The most frustrating thing is you have these people outside of your clan that can attack you. So in our clan, we have like 105 pretty much all active members from the stream community. And there's a few people who refuse to put up their peace treaties, which is like a protective barrier around your like your town or whatever you'd want to call it. So because of that, other people are coming in and they're attacking those towns over and over and over again. So everyone has to keep trying to like save that person. And it's super annoying, but that's what comes with the territory and playing those kinds of games. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if anyone is looking for a mobile game that's actually pretty fun, I would definitely recommend doing that. You definitely don't have to pay to play, as much as they try to push it on you, as most mobile games do. But you can definitely get through it without having to pay real world money, which is nice. And then I've been playing a little bit of Monster Hunter World. I really want to get better at the game before the new one comes out. So that's my goal. Yeah, I played it a little bit on stream, and then I've been playing a little bit off stream as well. I think I need to get used to all different kind of weapons there are and see what fits me the best. Because right now I'm doing a dual wielded sword type thing, which is fun. But I'm wondering if maybe a bow and arrow or something would be more my speed, because that's what I was really good at in Horizon. But we'll see. But the game is fun. It's just kind of sad because you're expected to kill these creatures or these monsters with no backstory or reasoning as to why you're doing it. It's like, hey, go get that monster and kill it and then take its body parts and make yourself some armor. So Jonathan, our friend Jonathan, said that I believe the last Monster Hunter game had a bit better of an explanation behind why you're doing it. This one kind of just, doesn't really, it just kind of puts you into the action, which is fine.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what has kept me from playing Monster Hunter games. Yeah. I feel like I need some sort of story.
Yeah.
Like, even in Destiny, they give you a little bit.
Right. I was pretty surprised that there's pretty much no, at least, I mean, I haven't come across anything significant yet. I know you have like the campaign sort of missions that you can go on, and there's really no storyline. It's basically like you come to this new world and you're in charge of discovering, what it has to offer and killing the monsters that are there. So unless somebody is listening that has played this game a lot more than I have and knows more, I'm pretty sure there's not really much of a storyline. But it's cool. I mean, there's a ton of customization, which I can't complain about. A lot of dragon-looking creatures and dinosaur-looking things, which is cool. So it's fun. It's just not like a game that I'm like hardcore attracted to, I guess, because of that storyline that's missing.
Yeah.
I feel like if that was there, it would be much better. But I still like it, and I'm definitely going to get the new one when it comes out. I'm excited for what it's going to look like because the graphics in Monster Hunter World are great. I can only imagine the new game's going to be like incredible.
Now, were you going to get it on the Switch, or are you going to wait till the PC release?
I don't know. I really wish it was coming out for PC at the same time. I don't know. I have to. Maybe I'll catch a few streams and see what it looks like. If it's very super similar to World, where it's just all action and no story whatsoever, maybe I'll wait. But I really don't want to get it for the Switch. I really want to get it for the PC, but I guess I'll have to see. If it starts looking like I really should be playing this game, like I'm missing out, then I'll probably get it for the Switch. So TBD.
Okay.
Yeah, I had thought that you were going to say you weren't sure about this game because you were killing animals minding their own business.
Yeah, that too makes me sad.
I was going to say, well then, you probably shouldn't play Shadow of the Colossus.
No, is that what that is too?
Well, that's the whole game.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
But there's a reason you have to kill them. It's not like, but they're not attacking you. But there is a reason you have to kill them.
Right.
Yeah.
One funny thing before I move on, I was playing Monster Hunter World for the first time ever on stream, and there are these cute little frog things that are hopping around, and my cousin Bex came into the stream, and he loves frogs. So I was like, look, Bex, this is for you. And I picked up the frog, and I didn't know that when you pick up the frog, you, like, smash it, and it, like, blows up. And I was like, oh, my God. It was so funny. And then he was so upset. I was like, I didn't mean to do that. But, yeah, there's a lot of, like, innocent creature killing. Like, there are these, like, friendly dinosaurs that you just kill. And it's kind of sad. But then there's some not friendly ones, which I get. But the friendly ones, it's kind of sad. It's like killing a cow for no reason. It's not going to do anything to you. I don't know. That's just me being soft. But yeah, so that's Monster Hunter World.
Jen's bleeding heart is showing.
Yep, my bleeding heart. Then I've been playing Warzone, as Mark mentioned, every Wednesday with you guys. And then our Retro Roulette game, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, I've been playing all the same stuff. I mentioned it on stream, but I didn't talk about it here yet. So if you've been listening for the past few weeks, I am going to try to play through all of the Kingdom Hearts games, which may be a gigantic mistake, at least the way I'm doing it. I have done pretty much all of the story stuff for Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix, and now I'm trying to get the ultimate Keyblade, the ultimate weapon. And I guess I never did it when I was a kid because I was a kid and I didn't have the wherewithal to want to try to collect all this crap. Mm-hmm. So in order to get the ultimate weapon, you have to synthesize it from the Moogles. The Moogles have to synthesize it. But in order to do that, you have to synthesize every item in the game, which is like 40 items.
Wow.
And to do that, you have to beat certain enemies to get special ingredients, but these enemies are rare enemies and don't show up all the time. Mm-hmm. So you have to constantly go into a part of the level and just run in and out of the level over and over and over until they show up, and then you have to defeat them correctly. And if you don't defeat them correctly, you don't get the thing. So it's been a thing trying to get all of this stuff, and I'm debating just beating the game and then going back and doing this stuff because I want to get through all these games and I don't want to get stuck on Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah, you have so much ahead of you.
I got so much left to do and I don't want to get stuck on Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But yeah, so that's been my week for Kingdom Hearts, but I've been goofing off and playing some racing games. I picked up the PC version of Need for Speed Underground 1, and that kind of got me thinking about our topic this week, among other things. So I've been playing that, and it's amazing how much better it is on PC than the console versions. It's not even close. It's not even kind of close. just for how good it looks. And I've been playing Forza Horizon 4 just because it's an easy thing to turn on and just goof off and get things accomplished in that game. Like, they have all different types of things you can do without actually doing a race. You can do something called the speed challenge, where it's you're literally driving as fast as you can past a speed camera, and you get a star rating by how fast you're going through that thing. And there's all kinds of other different things around the world that you can do. And I just enjoy driving around because it's wintertime in the game, because the game has 4 seasons. It's wintertime in the game, so I thought, oh, that's perfect. I'll just drive around in the snow in my cars, since I can't do it here.
Yeah, a little safer to do it in the game, too.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much it, minus, all the usual stuff, Suikoden, Call of Duty, and Diddy Kong.
Yay.
So, I guess we can move on to our news. Jen, a whole lot of stuff has happened. Why don't you let us know some of the things?
Yeah, so I think, Tom, you already said this, but we're going to go over State of Play and then Nintendo Direct as well. So there's a lot to talk about. We're going to start with State of Play first. So State of Play announced a few kind of big things, I think. One in particular we're going to end on because I know Tom and Mark are extra excited to talk about that. So this is in no particular order, minus the last one, which I purposely put last. So Returnal State of Play is, I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. It's a new game. It's pretty much based in space where you play as an astronaut. And she crashes her ship, on a strange planet. And there are really disturbingly cool looking aliens that it looks like you have to fight. And it's one of those things where when you die, the world changes. So like there's different enemies, or they're changing where they're spawning in new places and stuff like that. It looks really intense. Tom, I don't think it's probably the kind of game that you would play, because it seems like Dead Space-ish in terms of the horror element. But I wanted to ask Mark what he thought about it.
Yeah, so I love the fact that for some reason the PR people or marketing people just can't use the words roguelike. Mm-hmm. They just need to explain it as the world changes and enemies go to different positions every time you die.
Because they don't want nerds playing this game, Mark. This game's not for nerds. It's for cool dudes. It's
ridiculous, but it looks very cool. Housemarque is really, really a fun studio in terms of all the shooting games they make are pretty much on point. There's one game has been installed on my PS4 since I bought it. They had Resogun, was free to play, right from the launch of the PS4. And I downloaded that and played that a lot, when I didn't have much to play at launch. So shooting is always on point. That's more of a, bullet hell, shooter, which this kind of looks like a bullet hell in a 3D world, from the clips I've seen. So it looks like it's right in their wheelhouse. It'll just be interesting to see what with every roguelike. It's just interesting to see. They either have to succeed with a good story or a good concept to keep you playing. Like, I'll examples. Hades, great story. Makes you want to just keep going back in and see all the different dialogue and, get to the true ending, and all that stuff. The writing's fantastic. It's a story that keeps you going. The gameplay's great, but it's really a story-heavy game. On the flip side, you have a thing like Rogue Legacy, which all the, like the regeneration, the reincarnation stuff is always fun and gives you a different challenge, and it's the combat that makes you go back. Like Rogue Legacy, you become like your son or your offspring or something, and you get a different trait each time that, some traits you have, like glaucoma or something. Like, they give good names to it, and you only can see part of the screen.
Wow.
Because, or you're a giant, so you move slower, but you hit harder, or, stuff like that. Those are the two kinds of roguelikes that really succeed. Mm-hmm. Either one, so it's going to be interesting to see which way they go with this. I haven't seen a hint. I think it's going to be more story, because they talk about finding the things to upgrade as you go deeper. I think you end up in a house at some point. I think I saw in the clip. I think that was this game. But yeah, Housemarque has not done anything wrong, so they have that grace period that they can, this game could be boring, and I would still look forward to their next game.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see, like you said, when we get more information on it, at least to see what it starts to look like. For me, roguelikes, you kind of said it, like they really have to pull me in, because the idea of dying and coming back and dying and coming back gets old for me. But like if what was that one game you were just saying, the one where you come back as your like offspring?
Rogue Legacy.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we'll have to see what they do with this. So there's another game called Saifu, I think is how you would say it. It's going to come for the PS4 and PS5 this year, May 21st, and it's going to be backwards compatible for the PS5. So this is a game where you play as a kung fu student. It's a third-person action game. I thought the animation style and the graphics are very unique. Very bright colors, a lot of lighting. It looks very pretty. I don't know if I would play this game. It's just not my style of game, but I don't know if you guys had any opinions on that one.
It looks great, but I probably will never play it.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't, I have a very specific taste, and that it just doesn't fall in.
Yeah. I believe in Tom. You can look this up while I go on my rants here, but I believe this is a studio that did Absolver like a year or two ago. And what I remember from that game is that the combat is really well done. So the focus of this game, should be good. That's going to be the one part that I'm not worried about. But the interesting thing I heard about this game, listening to some reaction, from journalists that got a little more like the PR, marketing materials, is that you actually follow the character from being a student all the way to being a master. And couldn't tell if that meant that it's like a linear story sort of thing, or if it's one of those things that, every time you die, you wake up at the next level or something like that. Yeah. But it's definitely one. I don't think you create a character. I think that's what they were trying to show when he gets like knocked out or died and he wakes up with a beard.
Yeah, it's just progression.
That you do progress. It might be a rogue-like thing more than it might be a roguelite more than a roguelike. There are two different categories.
Yeah, maybe that's why they avoid using those terms.
But mainly because I don't think it has the procedurally generated world. That's the main difference.
So they're saying, they said in the press release, death defiance comes at a cost. You will age significantly every time you come back to life. Time is the price you'll pay for your revenge. Yeah. So you'll be older and slower and not as strong. It's what it seemed like.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So but the indie dev is Slow Clap, and they recently put out Absolver 2017.
Yep. Yeah. Absolver is a good game. I didn't play much of it because that was the time when I was trying to basically try to play as much as possible. So I would spend a couple hours here and there. I think that's how I found 2017 would be Oxenfree.
That sounds about right.
I think. That's how I found Oxenfree, because I found it at the end of the year as I was just going through all the small cheap games that were on sale and stuff. But yeah, the one thing I know for sure for anybody listening out there is just from my experience time with Absolver, I don't think the combat's going to be a problem here. It's just going to be, is the story and the concept any good? Mm-hmm. With the age, with your, I love the concept of your life is the penalty. That's pretty cool. And it makes the game replayable to see how far you can get at certain ages as you get better at the game. But we'll see when it comes out.
Yeah. So moving on, Solar Ash was announced. This one is a very colorful game. I think it's like a borderline trippy style game. It's a 3D platformer. A lot of bright colors going on. It's set inside of the setting is a black hole called the Ultra Void, and you play as Rey, who is trying to save her home world from the black hole. So when you're playing as her, you can do all sorts of cool things. A lot of parkour. You can fly, you can glide, you can climb on everything pretty much. It looks like you're going to be battling a bunch of monsters. And the devs did mention they wanted it to be overall have a very fluid, a fluidity to it. So the game is constantly constantly progressing, so you're not going to be staying in one spot for very long, which is interesting. And they haven't come out with a solid release date yet. They just said it's coming out for the PS4 and PS5 later this year. So probably, way later, I'm imagining. But yeah, it's unique. I'll give it that much. It's very interesting. I kind of like the idea of the quicker progressing style gameplay, but I probably would not be going for this one either unless I heard really great things about it.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yes.
Again, there was only a couple of things I saw at State of Play that I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of outside the box type games.
Yeah. So Solar Ash is made by the guys I believe made Hyper Light Drifter, from 2017 or 18 or something like that. So the game's going to be visually stunning, 100%, because that Hyper Light Drifter was amazing to look at while playing. Don't have much of a memory of it from when I played it. In terms of the gameplay, it didn't grab me as much in terms of the actual physical playing of the game. I just remember just being wowed by the art design. So I wouldn't be shocked if this looks even prettier with more experience and a better, especially on the PS5. So it'll be interesting. It'll be one of those games that you will definitely, whenever it comes out, will end up on a lot of top 10 lists, just because a lot of those sites and people sort of get sucked into a game that kind of they remember because of the look of it. Yeah. So as long as it's not a terrible game like broken or boring, it'll definitely be a game that should be one that people do remember.
Yeah. So this next game I know Tom's gonna get as soon as it comes out, and that's the Five Nights at Freddy's security breach game. Which is funny because people have been telling me to play Five Nights at Freddy's on stream, and here it is, the newest game from the franchise. I was actually really surprised to see this. It's very teaser trailer-esque. If you guys want to check it out, if you haven't already. Basically, the core of the game is still there. You're a security guard for what they're calling Mega Pizzaplex, which is basically a neon lit, super futuristic Chuck E. Cheese.
Allegedly.
Yeah. And there's some cool gameplay shots in it. It seems like there's a pretty well thought out storyline behind it, but again, they're only teasing what's going on. It sounds like there might be two characters involved. And you see a bunch of the monsters, whatever you call them, like the mechanical, creepy things that chase you around. For some reason in the trailer, they don't look as creepy as they did in the game, like the original game. I don't know why that is. Maybe because the graphics are starting to get too good and it seems less creepy to me. We'll have to see how I feel about it. I don't know if I'll get it. This is definitely a game where I would totally get it if it is well received and I catch it on stream and it seems really fun. But I'm kind of burnt out on the whole Five Nights at Freddy's thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the minority on that, but I was just surprised to see it in general.
Maybe this is the game you need to get back into it.
Maybe, except it's only for the PS5, I think.
Really? This is that game was built on the PC. I'm surprised it's not coming out on that first.
From what I was seeing and reading, it seems like it's only coming out for the PS5. Whether or not they changed that or if that's inaccurate, I don't know. But what I've seen is only PS5.
Maybe it's a timed exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with this is everything I saw makes me think they're slightly going away from what makes Five Nights at Freddy's great.
Yeah.
Is to just static cameras and going back and forth and just that building anticipation.
Right.
Of going camera to camera and then going back and one of the animatronics not being there anymore. The whole concept was great. Being basically a ripoff of Charles Entertainment Cheese's places.
Yep.
And it's just, this is one of those games that as you improve it more or try to change too much of it is not going to make it as good.
Right.
I think the whole aesthetic of the tenseness of the static cameras is what makes the game great.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you could keep making sequels of those. The developer may need to branch out and find another game. Maybe if this game came out and was like a different branding than Five Nights at Freddy's. Maybe it could be, not as on the fence and is for me. But the fact that they put it under that, and I already know the other, at least 3 of the 4 games are really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those that it might just be a game they shouldn't have branded with the Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I don't think it's a BioShock vibe.
My thought with this, if it's a 2-player thing, like maybe it's co-op. Like maybe you have to switch between characters and you add something that way. So who knows? It could be interesting. It might not be.
I hope that I'm pleasantly surprised by it.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. So then there's Oddworld Soulstorm. He plays an alien who is the unlikely leader of a rebellion for his people against an evil alien race. It's a very cinematic style platformer with the devs' intention was to fully immerse you in the game so you didn't feel like you were playing just any old typical platformer. It kind of reminds me, if anyone has played Little Nightmares, that style, where...
Is this an Abe game? Is Abe the main character?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's definitely not my style of game, but it definitely has very impressive graphics. And I'm starting to warm up to that style of game, the cinematic platform type game. Like I said, Little Nightmares kind of drew me in. I just recently saw someone stream it and it looks very good, and I'm probably going to start playing it myself. So it's interesting to see that this game seems to resemble that kind of game style. But yeah, I would not be playing this most likely. I'm not really excited about it.
Yeah, platformer. It's got to be a really good platformer for me to even think about it these days.
Right.
Basically, the only platformers I play at this point are Mario. I know it sounds terrible, but that's really at this point that's what I've come to.
Yeah, and it's amazing thinking that how long I've seen Learn Landing out there, talking about this game. I think it's 5-6 years since it got announced at E3, something like that. I just wanted to come out at this point, not, the Abe's Odyssey game's not big in my nostalgia dump, but, just for his sake, let's release it, man. Just
I know.
let it move on. It's like getting to a Sakurai point where it's just like, let the man have a family.
I know. Yeah. So, man. Then there was Kinah, Bridge of Spirits. Really not much. This was already announced, obviously, but they came out with new gameplay in the trailer and more story details. Also announced that you can buy a deluxe edition now, or when pre-ordering instead of just the standard. And it comes with some bonuses like skins and stuff like that. This is a game that I'm watching very closely because this can either be I don't want to play it because it feels like I'm playing a Disney movie, or this could be I would like to play it because it feels like I'm playing a Disney movie. So I'm very interested in this game.
Yep.
I keep hearing it compared to a Pixar movie, a playable Pixar movie. So that's
what it looks like. Yeah.
I just feel that there needs to be one more E in her name for it to be pronounced correctly.
Yeah.
Because
or Kinah.
Yeah, it's Kinah.
Yeah.
But
wait, how did I say it originally?
You said it right.
I did. Okay. I was like, wait, how did I say it?
You're good.
But the way it's written, it looks like Kinah.
For sure.
But
that's our main gripe with it at this point, was that they really should have put an extra E in the name.
If you watch any of the trail stream, my pet peeve about names.
Yes.
That game is just so inconsistent with names. Sorry, tangent.
Yeah.
But it's like one guy's named Sammy and then the next guy's named like Ballthorn. And I'm just like, what?
That's called name generator.
Yeah, it's just like so true. Anyway, that's just a pet peeve of mine, names. If you listen to Stranger Days, you see that I try to either have fun with it or be creative.
Yeah.
But yeah, this definitely looks like a game that wouldn't necessarily be a system seller because I believe it's exclusive PS5.
It says both Oh no, I'm sorry. You might be right. Just kidding. I think you're right.
Because it looks like a game that would show off what the PS5 can do.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of graphics, without people actually realizing that it's showing off how much it can do. So it is definitely one to watch. I don't think it's going to be one of those ones that sneaks up on my game of the year or anything like that. But yeah.
Take notes, everybody. So when it becomes this game of the year, we can play this clip. That'd be great.
Unless it makes me cry. It makes me cry. Then
It might. You never know.
You never know.
Then there's Deathloop. You play as a character named Colt who is trapped in a time loop where he can only remember his very recent past as he has amnesia. You travel around an island called Black Reef, which is just fully chaotic and lots of fighting and stuff like that. The trailer was a little vague. It kind of looks like somebody might be controlling him a little bit or controlling his memory loss. I'm not quite sure. It has very unique music from what it sounds like as well. Very like kind of like James Bondish type music.
I'm gonna make some people mad right now and say that Deathloop looks stupid.
Oh, I 100% agree with you.
I don't like it. It just looks so dumb.
Yeah.
It's a one-on-one shooter. It just like makes no sense. Like
yeah.
What?
So I'm not sure how much you guys have. This first trailer didn't really explain much of the game. I don't know how much you guys have seen the other trailers and coverage of this.
Well,
but the point
that's the point though. Is this trailer supposed to like tell you more, and it didn't tell you anything.
Yeah. So
dumb.
They're assuming you've seen the other stuff.
Well, they should not. They should not assume anything like that.
The main character that you see in this trailer, the point of the game is that he's supposed to assassinate 10 people before the end of a certain time frame. And then the other person is trying to stop him from doing that. But, they're in a death loop. Every time they die, they come back and got to start it all over again.
Right.
Either the female assassin comes back and has to stop him, or the male assassin has to restart all over from zero. I think it's going to be some like multiplayer, for that fact. But if you play single player, I guess if you kill the other assassin, it just comes back randomly at some point. I don't know how they're going to work that for single player.
The premise in single player mode just makes no sense. But like multiplayer, I can see it being interesting. But single player, just I don't.
Yeah, know. It's one of the games I've been really keeping my eye on because I just like that. I really like the look of it because it's I love very stylish games and this game looks very 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 stylish. And
I will absolutely give it that. It looks very stylish, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't get it. I mean, and
essentially, it looks like it's got that Dishonored vibe to it, which I believe is the same developer or some kind of connection to that. And if it's a very obvious connection that I'm missing, I apologize. But yeah, I think that's what's really making me look forward to it is because those games are really good at the first person shooter, sneaking around stuff. So I'm looking forward to this. I will be the outlier in this podcast for this game.
I'm sorry that we ripped it apart before we asked you your opinion.
Oh, don't worry. There's going to be a moment for me in this podcast.
Oh, yeah, I know. All right. So that brings me to my final point on State of Play, and that is that we are getting a Final Fantasy VII remake for the PS5 on June 10th, which is not that far out. So, Tom and Mark, would you guys like to handle this one?
Jen, before we go, did you write down the full name of the new game?
I did not.
Okay.
I apologize, but you can go ahead and go ahead. Give it
Tom?
Hang on, I need to like look at it just to make sure I'm saying
it's Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade.
Oh, Intergrade was part of it.
Intergrade, right? So it's basically what's happening with Yuffie while all of the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake are happening. So it's kind of like I'm trying to think of another game that did this. Well, Kingdom Hearts 3 did this. So Kingdom Hearts 3 put out a DLC where you go through the events of the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 while other things are happening. So it's a whole weird. So
Resident Evil 3 does the same thing.
Right. So this you'll only be playing as Yuffie. And I don't know how long it is. They haven't really given a whole lot of details about it. But you'll only be playing as Yuffie with another character in backup of you. So it looks great. The fact that it's only for PS5, though, is kind of strange to me. They really should have made it available for both. I do like the fact that you will be able to upgrade your PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake to PS5 for free. That's awesome. And for all of those people who still have not played Final Fantasy VII Remake, if you have PlayStation Plus, next month it's free. So please uninstall Call of Duty Modern Warfare and download this, because I think you'll have a better time.
Yeah, and I believe from what I could tell, I think this whole episode's going to take place around like chapter 8 or 9 of Remake, which is when right before the tower falls, and
it's after you've blown up the reactor.
Yeah, after you find Aerith for the first time. So there's so many things that this could close the gap on, and I have a feeling, and Tom, you're more into the Kingdom Hearts world than I am. This feels a lot like it could be like 2.8, in that it will tie up some things, but also lead you into the next game.
So it feels 2.8-ish, and it also feels like that the Remind DLC put into one. At least to me, that's what it feels like. Just because it's new stuff that you haven't seen yet, and it's also tying up stuff that you've already seen.
Yeah, and it's great to see Yuffie out there.
It's also interesting because Yuffie, generally, you can get her almost immediately after you leave Midgar. It's just really hard. So I like the fact that they're showing Yuffie already, so she's going to be integrated into the game.
Yeah. As much as they mentioned Wu-Tai in the first game, I knew she was going to be the first character they were going to come out with of the non-core group. But it just opens up a bunch of theories. I mentioned it on stream, on the Trails stream, that I think it's going to end up to be that Wu-Tai, or maybe Yuffie in particular, is the reason why Biggs is in that bed at the end, and stuff like that. It's a year-old game. I don't care about spoilers at this point. And they're going to tie that up, or lead into, something with that. And apparently, never played the game, but apparently the weird, pinkish white ice hair guy at the end is like from Dirge of Cerberus, which is that really terrible PS2 shooter.
Terrible is debatable. It's not. It's not. Mark, you might piss some people off with that. Dirge of Cerberus has its fans.
I mean, yeah.
If you like Vincent, it's awesome.
I will. Well, I'm going to piss a lot of people off in about 20 minutes. But better start here then.
Warm them up.
It's but I'm just saying, it's like it's got that very Kingdom Heart-ish quality, this remake.
Oh yeah.
Because it's just tying everything together, and it brings, if you want to, you probably have more of the information in front of you, Tom. But the thing they're doing on the phone is just ridiculous, and I don't know how they're going to do it.
Right. So all right. So let's integrate. That's fine. We're done with that. We're going to talk about Ever Crisis. There's two phone games coming out, 2 mobile games. One is Final Fantasy VII: The First Soldier, and I'm just going to quickly go over that because it's a battle royale on mobile.
Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's a battle royale on the on your phone. I don't get it. And you're using guns, and it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense in the Final Fantasy VII universe. I'm sure someone will yell at me and tell me it makes sense, but to me...
But Dirge of Cerberus, man, had guns.
Right, but again, he's the only guy who uses guns in the whole thing. So, also, they're coming out with Ever Crisis Final Fantasy VII, which appears to be a chapter-structured single-player game that covers the whole of Final Fantasy VII, from before Crisis, which is also a phone game, all the way to past Dirge of Cerberus. So it seems like it's going to give you the whole story in one go on a phone game. I have no clue how this is going to work.
Is Dirge of Cerberus after Advent Children?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this game's gonna be before Crisis, Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus. I think that's the order. Dirge of Cerberus and Advent Children might be switched, but I'm pretty sure that's the way. They're around the same time in this thing. So you're going to get to play through all of those timelines in the same game. So something that was weird to me, it seemed like this was the remake before the remake. They decided to do remake. Like, it seems like, this was the upscale that everybody was just looking for, and they were going to put it out on phones or whatever, and the PS4, and just call it a day. But it seems like they decided, we're just going to remake the whole game, and this was just set aside. So at least to me, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, because it is weird.
It is weird that it's all coming out. I don't know. That was my big takeaway. It's cool, but it's also strange that so many things are coming out with Final Fantasy VII now.
Yeah. Now, Jen, since it's a phone game, are you going to purchase it? And is this how you're going to digest all of Final Fantasy VII?
Potentially. I think. Do we know how much it's going to cost yet for the phone?
I would guess it's going to be like $20. That's just a guess. I don't know. They haven't said yet. And it's not coming out anytime soon. It's not coming out till next year.
Right.
So a lot more stuff could come out.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, if this happens to be one of the only things out at that time and I hear good things about it, I probably would get it. But paying $20 for a phone game is really steep for me. I mean, I can always play it on my iPad, which is better than playing it on my phone, but I don't know. I would much rather play the remake that came out on the PS4 than play a phone game for $20. But I will have to see, I guess, when it gets closer.
Yeah, it should be interesting. And just being a Final Fantasy nerd, I may have to get it just because. I don't know. I hope they give us a little more, because the battle system looks like turn-based battle system. But it's also got really high res graphics, which was the other confusing thing to me, because I figured, they'll just do OG graphics or whatever for the battle system. But it looks like Final Fantasy VII remake graphics for the battle system.
Right.
Again, we'll have to see how it works, because they didn't. The stuff they showed was like they took the chibi characters and up-res them in the overworld, and then they just stuck the Final Fantasy VII remake battle system. I don't know. We'll see, because Before Crisis and Crisis Core are totally different play styles, and Dirge of Cerberus, than Final Fantasy VII. So we'll see what happens.
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to try to blend it all together, or if they're just going to, make them all separate and make it work. That's the other problem. I don't know how they're going to make it work on a phone. All right, that's enough of me ranting. Jen, I guess you want to. Is there anything before we get to Mark ranting?
I guess I'll just quickly go through Nintendo Direct, and then we'll end that on the big announcement for you guys, and then
big announcement.
Yeah, the quote unquote big announcement, and then we can hear Mark's feelings on it, and then we'll move on from there. Okay. So Nintendo Direct announced a shit ton of stuff, like a lot. So what I did was I took some of the bigger stuff, and then I will quickly mention some really minor stuff. Well, not really minor, but more minor, and then we'll end it with the big news, I guess.
I mean, we don't have to go through everything.
No, I only added a few things, and I could very quickly list Xenoblade Chronicle 2's Pyra and Mithra are coming to Super Smash in March.
Can I say one thing about Smash, though?
Go ahead.
When did it become okay for everybody to just call it Smash? Even the characters?
I mean,
children call it that. That's
Mark,
why.
they've been calling it Smash since, Brawl.
Yeah, but you know how Nintendo is, Tom.
I know, but they gotta make it cool for the kids, man.
I don't really have a problem with it. It was the first time I noticed. I was like, are they calling it Smash? It seems like Sakurai would be like, no, it's Smash Brothers. Mm-hmm. That's what it says. But I got to admit that trailer was a good fake out. I knew it went on too long for it to be another Xenoblade thing, but having it be Smash was kind of nice. So Go on.
Let's see. Splatoon 3 is coming to the Switch. Only in 2022. That's real soon. Mario Gold Super Rush is coming to Switch June 25th of this year. We have a new game called Perfect Triangle Strategy, which is 2022 as well. It's a new game by Square Enix, so maybe you guys would like this. It's an HD 2D series. Yeah. It is a successor to Octopath Traveler. You played that, right, Mark?
Yeah.
It's not a sequel, it's a successor, according to devs.
They took Octopath and Final Fantasy Tactics and stuck them together.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
It is a very tactics game.
So there's a demo out if anyone wants to try it. Get free. Star Wars Hunters is a free-to-play squad-based online multiplayer game that was announced. It says sometime 2021, so probably later this year. And then my personal favorite, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, arrives this summer. Woohoo!
I guess it was exclusive to PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because my first thought when I saw this was, it's not already on Switch?
I know, that's what I did too. I'm like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, it was a PS4 only game. And then all of a sudden they were like, oh, we're going to put it out on everything now.
Yeah, then it came to Steam. And
I got it when it was free on PS Plus.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. So Super Mario is also coming to Animal Crossing New Horizons. I guess you can get outfits and stuff that are Mario themed. Outer Wilds is coming to the Switch in 2021. They showed a new Monster Hunter Rise trailer, which is coming out this March, the end of March. Apex Legend is coming to the Switch. Pokemon is coming out with Diamond and Pearl remakes called Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl for late this year. And I stuck this one in for Mark. Hades, the physical edition, is coming out March 19th. Will you be purchasing it?
Most likely.
Okay.
Because it comes with an art book.
That's
there it
cool.
is. That's all Mark needs.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm not usually an art book guy, but all those gods are super hot. So,
I fully expect to see some characters from that game show up in our D&D
well, they could, because theoretically they use a lot of mythology people in D&D.
Yeah.
But the one thing you did miss out on, the new Mario Golf.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I saw that.
That's or was that with the Mario Gold Super
Gold Rush? Mario Gold
Okay.
Super Rush. I probably said that backwards because I just did it again.
Because it's part of Mario Golf.
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right.
So now our big announcement that literally made Mark have a meltdown. They have announced, I'll say it and then you can go in on it, Mark. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD has been announced for the Nintendo Switch. It is coming out this year on July 16th. And you can also purchase a Skyward Sword themed Joy-Con pack at the same time. Have at it, Mark.
So why fucking Skyward Sword? There are at least half a dozen Zelda games that have not been put on Switch, or even remastered or remade, that should be ahead of Skyward Sword. You have the Oracle series. You have. I don't want to curse too much. You have Spirit Tracks, which is terrible, but I would rather play that than Skyward Sword. There is a reason why this is the one game that outside of speedruns that I see, nobody talks about. I mean, Bruce, the guy that's in the game, was great in a video game championship wrestling. So I guess that's where it got something from. But the motion controls were terrible. They're going to keep those, but you can also do it on a stick. Buttons, and the game, it's the only Zelda game that I literally just, not rage quit, not, anything. I literally got bored and just stopped playing it. I bought it before I even had a Wii, so because I am obsessed with Zelda, if you haven't noticed anything about my backgrounds or anything I really talk about on stream here. But it tells you that nobody wanted this. And I hate doing Twitter trends. But the fact that every other game that has come out in the last 25 years for Zelda was trending on Twitter and not Skyward Sword.
Should tell you something.
Yes.
Yeah.
The only way they can make it up, not that they make it up to me like Papa Nintendo make it up to me, is they have to bring the Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HDs in the fall for the 35th anniversary to Switch. They have to. It can't just be Skyward Sword. even give me something that's as shitty as that Super Mario 3D All Stars thing. You know,
that's my thought, is that that's coming, and that will make everybody feel better, because they're going to put Ocarina, Master Quest, and Majora's Mask in this thing.
Yes, give me that. You know, and you know, there's like 3 levels of Zelda games, and Skyward Sword is its own level at the bottom. Like no one else resides in that level. It's just, it was such a gimmick. I really hate Zelda games that are gimmick concepts.
Well, I mean that one, and what was the one with the GBA?
Spirit Tracks, right?
No, it was oh shit, Four Swords Adventure. Yeah,
Four Swords Adventure. That's fine. Four Swords Adventure. Put that out before Skyward Sword. That, you know, multiplayer is great. It's a Switch. You know, Nintendo Online. Hey, why don't you celebrate your cheap online system, Nintendo? It's just that Skyward Sword, they were trying to do the whole Wii Motion Plus thing. And yes, one of my Wiimotes is the gold one you got for buying Skyward Sword. Because I did buy that edition. Because I was naive once. I still love that Wiimote, by the way, but it doesn't matter. It's just, Skyward Sword is the one that like nobody talks about. I think that's my big thing. Like even Link's Awakening, which didn't have much of a like in the zeitgeist of Zelda, but people still went, you know what, that Game Boy game was pretty good, you know.
I mean, I also wonder how much is nostalgia, and just because it's a Wii game is why no one has nostalgia for it, because nobody gave a shit about Wii games.
Yeah, I'm 100% telling you, it's the concept and controls is why no one talks about it.
Right.
The only time, you know, because needing to swing the sword, you know, with the Wiimote, needing the nunchuck to block, and then actually flapping the wings of the bird with the Wiimote is another thing. From what I remember, I think it's the weakest Zelda in terms of the character Zelda in the games. If they don't bring Wind Waker up in the best example of Zelda in any of the games, I will be mad for the 35th anniversary.
Mark, it's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming.
God damn it better come. Because it better not be just Skyward Sword.
Maybe they're coming out with this to prepare you even more for that.
God, it better come in the fall. Because it's just, that's the one thing. It sounds like it's a Nomura, right? I'm not just the Zelda guy. I'm blanking.
What? Miyamoto is a Zelda guy.
No, it's the other guy that was on the Direct. I'm blanking on his name because I'm angry. But you know, because I think like he was behind that game, Skyward Sword. So it just feels like it's like, let me get mine in there. You know, everybody, we haven't done this yet. Maybe people will like it. You know, now that it's off the Wii. You know, it's just, that's my rant. I don't want to take up too much time, but it's just, I love the series so much, and there are literally, like I said, a half dozen games that you could do, even excluding Wind Waker and Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, you have Ocarina and Majora, you have Zelda 2 that they never done anything really with. That would be better. You know, you have the Oracle games. You have, it's just that they picked Skyward Sword. It just felt like this would be the easiest one to do. And I don't know. Maybe they thought it would quell the tide for Breath of the Wild 2 news, which I will think is coming next March. Because I think that's when they're going to announce new hardware coming out next March, and they'll just coincide it with that. That is just an early Mark hot take thought on that. Right?
Hot take.
But
Switch Pro coming 2020.
Yeah, in March with Breath of the Wild 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it. If you didn't notice, Skyward Sword's my least favorite game of the Zelda series. And I will even put it below Spirit Tracks without having played Spirit Tracks since it first came out. So yeah, we'll leave it there.
Can I just add one thing that possibly could make you more mad? And you probably already know about this. in 2011 when the game came out for the Wii. The game, the controller, and the soundtrack were $69.99.
I know, I have it.
Now you get just the game for $59.99, and the controllers are an extra $70.
Well, that doesn't make me mad because that's Nintendo.
Well, yeah, it's still, it's like
being pissed at that, outside of you should be pissed at that because they did all that. It's just a totally different era, in the sense that when that Skyward Sword bundle came out, they were still in the honeymoon of the Wii and all that, period where the company really didn't make much money. Everything was going this way from the Super Nintendo on until the Wii shot it back up. So they were like, oh, we don't want to piss too. Okay,
we'll throw this together.
Now they're just like, fuck it. We gave them Super Mario 64 on the Switch and we did nothing to it, and they bought it.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. We sure did. The second it came out, we grabbed it like it was nice.
I bought it.
I'm guilty of it because I bought it too. But, they're at that point where Nintendo's kind of like, yeah, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. That's why every game is full price forever, or like 10% off. And that's
they've only started doing that from the Wii U forward, to be honest. I don't know if it's changed philosophy, because I got my Wii late in the Wii with a game for like $125 or $150.
Wow.
Which they wouldn't do that. The Wii U's never been below $200 from what I've seen. For a system that never didn't sell. It's weird. But yeah. So just now, I would love to say I'll give it another shot, but no, I'll wait for the better games to come out.
/ rant over. Okay.
We made it.
We did it, fam. We made it. Let's move on to some happier times. So something else that got announced this week is that Diablo 2 is getting a remaster. And that got me thinking, man, there's a lot of old classic PC games that I really enjoyed, and Diablo 2 was one of them. What other classic PC games do we all enjoy? Because we all enjoy classic PC games on this podcast, but we're all kind of from different eras. As dumb as that sounds, we're all around the same age, but that getting into gaming can happen anytime. So we're all kind of in different eras when it comes to when we got a computer, what games we had for that computer, and things like that. So I figured let's get into this and see what games everybody was interested in back in the day. And I'm talking, so I say classic PC games. Honestly, for me, it's like Windows 98 and before. But for some people, it may be XP and pre. So I'm gonna cut it off at XP. I think that's a good spot. I don't know that any of us will actually get to that state, but we'll just cut it off there. Jen, I know you got I think you and I both got our start with gaming on a computer. So I'd like to hear what I think we're going to do a round table here. Like each of us has about 3 or 4. So we'll go around that way. We'll have Jen start.
Okay. So I brought this game up so many times on this podcast that, you're probably tired of hearing me talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, because this is one of the most, like when I think about classic computer games for me, as you said, Tom, like I grew up playing games on the computer. So this game is like, it defines my childhood of computer gaming, which sounds a little weird when I say childhood, but anyway, it's Myst. So yeah, like I said, I talk about it probably every other podcast. It came out in the early 90s. If you haven't heard of it yet, it is a first-person game where you have a magical book that helps you travel in between mysterious and deserted worlds where you're the only one there. There are puzzles and pieces of paper you can collect. This gets a little weird to explain. There are 2 brothers that are trapped inside these books, and you have to collect pages, and you could collect as many pages as they need to be set free, or you could just let them stay in the books. I love this game for so many reasons. The music and the sound effects are really spooky and mysterious, like borderline alien-like at times. The graphics, to me, are always going to be beautiful. Obviously, they're dated now, but very unique world building that the developers did. Some of my favorite places to go in Myst were the city of the Tree Dwellers, where everything is up lofted in the trees and they have like the huts up there and the plank bridges, and that stuff is so cool. And like the ship that crashed on an island during the storm, like there's just so many cool places to explore. And I believe I mentioned this when we were talking about spooky and scary games around Halloween, because there's always this feeling that there's going to be somebody when you turn the corner, because all of these worlds were like, they have that just abandoned vibe to them, where
like something terrible just happened.
Right. It's really creepy in a great way. So that's one of the things that really I remember drawing me in. Like I was playing this and I'm like, where is everybody? I don't understand this. And like when I was a kid, I didn't really understand all of it. But then every time I started playing it again, I would learn a little bit more from it. But yeah, the puzzles are something I really enjoy in games. So this is just a perfect combination of fantasy, creepiness, and puzzles for me.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
If I'm wrong, this was one of those first FMV games, right? Where like you'd find something and it would play a video.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. And if you look at it now, it's so dated. It's crazy. Yeah, this probably was one of the first FMV games. But I mean, this game is literally available anywhere at this point. So
I'm pretty sure it's on Steam and GOG.
Yep, it's literally everywhere. So I always recommend this game. I may eventually play it on stream. It's such a cool game. It's so unique, and there's other ones aside from Myst, but Myst is the OG for me. Yeah. So
of the two brothers, does one of them tell the truth and the other one lies?
Yes. Well, okay. They're both shady as hell, but yeah. One of them is way more refined and like calm, and the other one's like totally unhinged, and you're like, who should I trust? It's pretty cool. And you start like when you travel to the different worlds, you get a vibe, like they have their rooms wherever you go.
Yeah.
So you get a vibe for the brothers, like who they actually are. One of them has these crazy like skulls in his room and like crazy weapons. The other one has like riches and is luxurious. So it's a very cool game. There's layers to it. You can either blow through it or you can like really involve yourself in the story, which I like. So yeah, awesome. That was mine.
Yeah, highly recommended to go out and give that a try. It's super cheap also, so just do it. All right, Mark, what do you got?
All right, so I'll do the first one to kind of, I'll do the more, well, I guess Myst is very popular, but the first game that we ever got for our PC was one of those, I don't know if this was particularly freeware shareware, but the first game I ever really played on my computer was Wolfenstein 3D.
Excellent choice.
Yeah, as we were joking about, I think it was on the Monday stream or maybe Thursday or something. No, Wednesday stream. God, this week is blended together. Where this is the game that taught me German for the first time, and I still, I might be completely butchering it, but in my head, every so often I still walk around and go, Mein Leben!
Mein Leben!
Yeah, just in my head, just randomly.
Which, if you think about, is awful. Yeah. That's literally someone yelling, my life.
Yeah.
My life.
Yeah, it just pops in my head all the time. And also, we thought it was cool to say shite and get away with it. Or at least we thought we were getting away with it. But, yeah, I actually used mouse and keyboard for this.
Ooh.
Well, I don't think you could play it with a controller, but, yeah.
If you had a Gravis gamepad.
Yeah, yeah. But, it was fun. I did get the Mecha Hitler a few times, and which, by the way, the new Wolfenstein games better end with Mecha Hitler if they haven't already introduced him.
I don't think Hitler's in the new one. At least he wasn't in the first one.
I think he's in the end of the second one, but I don't know if he's Mecha Hitler.
The first
say Mega Hitler.
The first remake Wolfenstein was Death's Head. So I don't know who the second. I haven't gotten to the end of the second.
Well, the second one. Do you want? I don't know complete spoilers, but do you want any spoilers?
No, because I've somehow managed to avoid them for 10 years or however long the game's been.
So
no.
I apologize if I did spoil that one part for you.
No.
But yeah, So Wolfenstein 3D was one of the first games I played, which led into other games, which I'll bring up at the end if they aren't brought up on here. that oddly enough, with all the games I play on the PC now, that my first ones were first-person shooters using mouse and keyboard.
Look at that. Almost sounds like you should try it on Wednesdays.
No, I'm not any good anymore.
I tried.
But yeah, I think it's because these games didn't involve a reticle and aiming. Mm-hmm. It was just basically keyboard, not even mouse.
You didn't technically need the mouse.
Yeah.
You could do
keyboard. So that might be why I was able to do it. But yeah, so definitely, and you're in a certain generation when you can reminisce about Wolfenstein 3D, the PC version, and not whatever they put out on the consoles. That wasn't anywhere near what the PC was.
Yeah, I mean, they put that out on, I feel like they put it on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I don't think the Genesis could do any type of 3D, so I don't think it was out on there. But
and for some of you out there, Bible Adventure, same thing.
Yes, Bible Adventure, yes. All right. I guess we'll go to me. No surprise.
Go again, Tom.
I mean, Jen probably has like 10 over there.
I narrowed it down to 3 with the possibility of a 4th just in case, but maybe I have 10. You never know.
I could have 10, but I also narrowed it down to 3 with a possible. So, no surprise from me. The first PC game that I would recommend if you are a racing game fan and want to see where it all kind of started for 3D racing games is The Need for Speed, the original The Need for Speed, for DOS and or Windows 95. Actually, the first version I had is The Need for Speed SE, which has a whole bunch of extra stuff, and that's probably the version to get if you're going to get it. It was the first driving simulator that was 3-dimensional and had cop chases and all kinds of stuff. They did put this game out for the 3DO also, but it's not the same game, if that makes sense. That it's actually like a totally different version of the game. As dumb as that is, I don't know why they did that, but the Need for Speed SE allowed you to drive on somewhat realistic roads and drive real supercars at as fast as you want and get chased by the cops while you're doing it. And it kind of launched that type of video game for forever. And that was one of my first PC games that I purchased and still have to this day. I'm glad I never got rid of it. It's one of those games that I always wanted to have. So I'm glad I still have it today and have computers that I can still play it on. All right, Jen, number 2 for you.
So my number 2, and I should have mentioned this before, most of my computer games that I grew up playing were because of my uncle and my aunt. When we would go over their house, my uncle built computers for his job, among other things with technology. So they always had a ton of computers. He was very into computer gaming. So most of these things I've played thanks to him. So my second game, Myst was also on his computer. My second game was on his computer as well. This is how I found Tomb Raider 1. Oh. I'm sure a lot of people would think of this game when they think of classic PC games. But this is always going to be one of my favorite ones. One of my favorite things to do, as I'm sure a lot of people did, is run around the mansion and try to do all the puzzles. Her butler creeped me out so much that I would try to lock him behind doors so he didn't follow me. That's where my fear of being chased started, I think.
The butler and Tomb Raider.
The butler and Tomb Raider.
So Jen, I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. You playing Tomb Raider and a guy playing Tomb Raider back then was a very different experience.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Because the guys were trying to figure out how to get her naked the whole time when she was inside the mansion, and while you were doing the puzzles.
Oh, I was the innocent one going, I wonder how I could get here.
No, never found a nude code, ever.
No, well, it's because it didn't exist. People... It was... No, they've debunked it on numerous occasions. Game trailers back in the day.
I mean, it's not in the game. It doesn't mean...
Well, people did patches and stuff to make it happen, but it's not a code in the game.
Well, I certainly didn't do that. I was too worried about the butler trying to kill me. But as I was a kid, I was not great at the game, and I used to get killed by the wolves and the bear from the first stage all the time. But I still love playing the game. The music was cool. This was probably one of my first shooters that I ever played. It was very unique to me back then because my parents never got us consoles or anything. So I never really had played games, like I said, until I started playing games at my aunt and uncle's house on their computer. And I remember, this is the part where I differ from the guys, I guess. I idolized Lara Croft, where I wanted to be her, not, other things to her. I always thought it was awesome because I had long hair and a braid like she did. So I'm like, I could be Lara Croft one day. But yeah, I mean, I just loved everything in the game. Again, puzzles in this game were really exciting to me and challenging. And I was so excited when they came out with the anniversary edition for Tomb Raider, because I got it, of course, and I got to play through the game, and obviously with better graphics. And I spent so much time in the mansion, and I beat it. And I still tried to lock the butler behind doors because it still freaked me out. He'll come behind you and be like, get away from me. So yeah, that's Tomb Raider 1.
That's great.
Yep.
All right, Mark, what do you got?
Yeah, so my number 2 is, it can be, I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's going to be unique, and most people probably have never heard of it. There was this football game, I think it's like mid-90s, where you, like, it was like that NFL head coach game where you called the plays and you watched it happen.
Okay.
It didn't control anything. But I played that game obsessively for hours because you could create team names and you could create players like before it was even in Madden, and just going through. And even back then, my little references side, I would name them after, people's names that I heard on the news and stuff like that. Or, stuff, just going, oh, isn't funny? This is, this person. Going there and came up with one of the dumbest names that I ever created for a team, because I was 9 when this came out, or 8. I named the team the Maine Crabs.
Maine Crabs.
Which I didn't find out later that lobster would have been a better name because of what Maine actually exports.
That's funny.
Because they don't really do crabs.
Was it TV sports football, Mark?
No, it was like Ultimate Football something. It was really weird. I still had the disc actually at home, but obviously I need like DOSBox and stuff to be able to play it.
Need a classic PC, Mark.
Yeah.
Who said that? The voice from beyond.
But it was like real dumb. I just played it because we all did when we were younger. You only had a handful of PC games and you played a whole lot. And and still with consoles, I still wouldn't get a whole lot of games. So, if I wanted to play football, this was the football game I had because I didn't have Madden. I think I might have just had one Madden up until PlayStation when I could start buying games on my own. Most of my sports games was NHL on the Genesis. So yeah, this game, it filled that niche. I think one year I actually, my dad ran the first ever fantasy football league I ever saw in 1994, 5, something like that. And I actually took the because he was the commissioner, so back then he had to go into the newspaper and get the points. And you didn't find out your points until Monday, when the newspaper came out from Sunday's games. Kids out there, it wasn't automatic.
Imagine living like that.
So I knew all the rosters, or had all the rosters. So I put them in the game and was playing them on there.
That's cool.
Every week. So, it's interesting. There's a whole bunch of games. There's probably a bunch that are like it. Mine was probably just a cheap one that was in like some dollar rack at like the Radio Shack or something. Kids, Radio Shack was a store that used to have a whole bunch of electronic equipment that was severely overpriced. Except for every so often they'd have like cheap video games in a bin that you could find really dumb games that were terrible. Kind of like Roblox games today.
I really miss Radio Shack because you cannot. There's nowhere that you can find like electronics, like parts, like diodes and connectors and things like that. You can't find that stuff in any other store, and I really miss Radio Shack for that.
Yeah, and they went out of business because they overpriced everything.
Well, that's just the way things go.
Can't be brick and mortar and overpriced.
Yeah, you're gonna die otherwise.
Yeah. So that was my game. Like I said, we'll make this an encompassing any of those simulation sports games of like the early 90s to mid 90s before like Madden and stuff just became everything that there was in sports. Like all the EA sports games and 2K games and stuff. There was like this little niche of games that gave you a little more freedom on the computer, and that's one of the ones I look back on.
Awesome. Yeah. Sports games before Sega took over were a lot different. So All right. My second game, I can't tell you how many hours I sunk in, and I hope I'm not the only one, and that's Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Oh my God, how could I forget about this again?
So I wasn't a huge roller coaster fan when I was a kid. I was afraid of everything. But the fact that I could build them and put them anywhere in a game, that was awesome. Like, I liked SimCity when I was a kid, and this was just like way more up my alley. I don't know why. I don't know what it is as a kid that like theme parks just draw you in, but the fact that you could build your own roller coasters and have people tell you how good they are inside the game, and just changing them and doing all kinds of stuff that you would want to do in real life inside of a game was awesome. And it wasn't just building the roller coasters; it was the management aspect too, because you had to like have employees and pay them and charge money to get in the parks, and it was just a really cool business simulator, and I think it could be used, and I feel like the newer ones kind of lost their way. I feel like Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 and 2 were incredible for the PC. Mm-hmm. Also, these so far, minus Mark's pick, I think you can still play all these games on GOG or Steam, but I know Roller Coaster Tycoon you can play still, so I would recommend picking that up. Jen, I know you had a reaction. Did you sink a lot of time into this game too?
Oh yeah, my brother and I used to play. So when we finally got a family computer, this was like the only game that we owned for a while, because my mom was very like one of those moms that thought video games equals violence. So I want to minimize that as much as possible. So Roller Coaster Tycoon was a safe one. So I think one of us got it for Christmas, and like we played the crap out of that game. Like, my brother has always been very creative, and he actually wanted to become an architect. So he's always been into those kinds of games as well, like building things and having it make sense structurally. And then, I mean, you could get into I can't think of the word for it, but like if the roller coaster had too many hills in it or something, like it might not finish it all the way to the end, or if it didn't have enough hills before a loop. Wasn't it like that where you could build a roller coaster that wasn't functioning properly?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't designed correctly.
Right. So you could build a roller coaster and then test it and find out it doesn't work, and then you have to fix it, and you have to go. There's a lot of trial and error if you don't understand how a roller coaster works. But yeah, it takes real world physics into it. Engineering. My brother loved this game too. He went to school for architecture. So
wow, look at that.
It's pretty cool how a game can be a game and still be very educational.
Yeah. The Roller Coaster Tycoon games are great. I can't believe I forgot to mention that. And that we'll say that's my fourth, but I have another one, so I have 5 then.
Okay. Well, go ahead and get on with the third one.
So the third one is such a simple game, but it will always hold a special place in my heart. And this was, again, another game that my brother and I bonded over playing. It was just so... It's not the kind of game you'd think that I'd be into, but I don't know why I was. Maybe for the nostalgia, like it gets better as I think about it. But that's Hover. And I think the last time I brought this up, you guys didn't know what game that was, right? Hover?
Yeah.
Yes, but I have since looked it up and know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So it was, I believe it was free with Windows 95. The best way to explain it is that it's a first-person bumper car style game of capture the flag. So you went up against the computer and you tried to collect power-ups and flags before the computer found all of theirs. The sound effects in this game are so nostalgic for me, like I said, and so very 90s or Windows 95. And if you don't know what that means, just look it up on YouTube and watch a game or video of gameplay, and you'll hear like a brrr, like, blah, 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 blah. Like the weird noises are in this game. It's so great. It's so retro. It's great. But this is another game I would spend forever playing this at my aunt and uncle's house. And I mean, I had a really hard time with it because they were more like little spaceships, but they drifted a lot or glided a lot. So going up this like ramp of stairs, I remember was like, I hated it because you would start gliding off the edge of the stairs. If you went too fast, you could fly off the edge. So it was difficult to me, at least as a kid. But yeah, this game was a lot of fun. And every time that someone brings up PC games, like classic PC games, I always wind up thinking of Hover. I believe you can play it. I think it's like on a browser somewhere. You can play it for free. But it's a throwback for sure.
I think archive.org you can play it.
Yeah.
God bless archive.org.
Seriously.
Mark?
Hey. Yeah. So, my third game is we're going to say it's a split game because I don't know which one of them I played more or if they're kind of essentially the same game, but we'll do the split. It was Age of the Empires 2 and the game Empire Earth, which I think was just like a knockoff, spin-off, whatever, of Age of the Empires 2. But my friends had Age of the Empires 2, and I would play at their house with that. And it was the first game we learned how to play over the internet with each other. So that was always fun. Because I'm playing you, and you're at your house, I'm at my house. What's going on?
So cool. But my mom, God bless our parents who aren't into video games, got me Empire Earth because it probably said something like from the makers of Age of the Empires or something like that on it. So it was essentially the same game, just a little bit different. Obviously, it couldn't be the exact same game because they get sued. But, I think I played Age of the Empires 2 more recently than Empire Earth because I can't really find it anywhere. I think it might be on GOG, maybe, but I don't really.
Empire Earth is on GOG.
Yeah, I was like, I remember looking at it and not really wanting to buy it, but Age of the Empires 2 just pops up on Super Sale all the time. It
looks like Age of Empires is on Steam, and
I have Age of the Empires 2 HD. So
okay, yeah, I was like Age of Empires still has its own website, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it goes on Super Sale a lot on the Steam sales, like for like $1.99.
Yeah.
Sometimes the older games. So especially 3 because no one likes 3. Yeah, I went back. I was like, 3 couldn't be that bad. And then I went back. I was like, oh yeah, they took some of the quality of life stuff out of it for some reason and tried to make it more complicated. I had just go a slight tangent here. I was playing, I think it's Age of Empires 2 HD. I was playing, or 3, one of them. I ended up having a stalemate because I had made a friend with one of the other groups there, and we were allies. But for some reason, it would never help me in battle.
Rude. And
me and the other person, there's only 3 of us left on the map, were so evenly matched that I would go in and get halfway through and destroyed, then his stuff would build up and push me back. And I'm like, if I just had the ally.
Was it Greece by any chance? They're like hands off, but don't come onto our land.
Weird.
That's so weird.
Like, yeah,
it was Gandhi, wasn't it?
No, Gandhi would have blew everybody up.
Yeah, Gandhi would have blew me up. But it was just so weird. It's like I kept calling them like, help me, and nobody. I think one time they sent like one ship over, and
they're like, here, go away now.
I was like, did I like partner with the wrong group here?
That just sounds like a glitch.
Rant over with that, tangent. But yeah, I love those games. It's probably why I pick up games like Anno, and I'm like, this looks like just a little bit more upscale thing, and then fail at them. Because they're a good mix of city building and, action, which is, 2 of the things I love, strategy, action, and all that.
Distraction.
Yeah, distraction. But yeah, that's why I picked Age of the Empires 2, because I didn't really get into the Civ games until 5, and that wouldn't count in this category. And so definitely this was my first start on that road to doing that.
Cool. All right. My third game, it's going to be obvious. It's going to be an obvious one. It's Doom. Doom is I mean, we talked about Wolfenstein, but I feel like Doom is like the daddy of all FPSs.
Yeah. Doom is the one.
I think it's literally the daddy.
Yeah. Well, Wolfenstein was first, but Doom is the one that got into the culture.
Yeah. Doom was kind of a zeitgeist. If you haven't seen the High Score documentary on Netflix, they talk about how Doom was created, and it's a pretty interesting story from John Carmack and all those guys. I recommend you checking that out. But Doom was one of those games that everybody had because it was something called shareware. Now, this is pre-Napster and pre-Kazaa and all this other stuff where you would download games that would kill your computer. Shareware, you would get part of the game. It was kind of like a demo. You'd get part of the game, and you would have to physically call id Software and be like, hey, guys, I really want Doom. Here's my credit card number. And then they would send you a registered copy. This does not happen anymore, to say the least. This stopped in probably the late 90s. But everybody had the first 2 episodes of Doom. I forget what the names of them are, but I think one's Knee Deep in the Dead, and I forget what the other one. But anyway, like I had the Doom Bible. Like there were all kinds of stuff you could get for Doom, about Doom, and the best part about it was that you didn't need like the best computer to run it. Like a box standard computer that could run DOS could run Doom, and it looked awesome. You were killing demons from another realm on your dad's work computer.
Pretty badass.
It was awesome, and it was one of those things where Doom eventually became one of those games that you could mod the crap out of and create levels for it and stuff. And people on like BBSs would load all kinds of different levels that you could load into your game and play deathmatch again. And deathmatch came from Doom. Doom is the first game to have deathmatch mode, and all you COD players can thank Doom for being able to play a deathmatch.
That's what I was thinking of when I said the daddy of shooters. They were deathmatch.
Yeah. Or Quake that made it popular.
Yeah, Doom and Quake for sure got the multiplayer ball rolling. Did
you have the third of the 3-headed monster, those shareware id time frame thing?
What, Duke Nukem?
No. Did you also own Heretic?
I did not own Heretic.
Okay. Heretic. Yeah, that game. If there's a reason why many people don't remember it, as much as the other two in that time frame series that came out. But yeah, so the best part about Doom is the joke that you could play Doom on a toaster.
Well, yeah, you could play Doom on a calculator.
Yeah.
Like a TI-83, you could play Doom on it.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and to just think that it's a shooter that you don't aim in.
Well, yeah, I mean all those early FPSs, they didn't really have the ability to aim up and down, so it was hit scan. So if you were in line with the enemy, it would automatically hit them if you were in line.
Yeah.
So I like Wolfenstein didn't have different levels, but Doom did, and so did Duke Nukem and Quake and everything else. But Doom was the first game to really have different heights for your enemy, which was an interesting thing.
Yeah. Yep, and then it all was great, and then Daikatana came out, and then that was the end.
Oh, Daikatana. We could have a whole episode just on Daikatana, but that's a story for another day. Jen, do you want to mention real quick what your fourth game was?
My fourth game was something that I mentioned on stream, if anyone is listening who is available on stream, and that was Barbie Riding Club. Yes. Oh my god, that was my fourth. if I really, like we said before, we could really come up with a list, but we had to cut it somewhere, you know?
Yeah. My fourth was StarCraft.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to, be good at StarCraft. I just never was. I just ended up playing custom games instead, which was the best thing ever.
You didn't get good?
I did not get good. If you have ever seen like a professional StarCraft player where they do like 100 like moves per minute, I did about 2. So.
Yeah, and you also didn't play somebody in StarCraft who looked up YouTube videos on how to rush you and beat you.
I got Zerg rushed all the time. Or either Zerg rush or photon cannon rushed.
Yeah, somebody that might live in this house may have photon cannon rushed me on video.
Not
there
surprising.
is video of that somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So mine is the I will use the specific example is the game that started it all for me, but my obsession with trying to play FMV games on PC, there was this weird, like, I don't know if they came with the computer or my dad used to like bargain bin in electronic stores. I don't know. I wasn't old enough and never had that conversation with him. But he had this murder mystery game on there that was like sort of a crude example, and I literally had the link saved from the archive.org or wherever you can download, like, I think it's archive.org, right?
Either archive.org or myabandonware.com.
Yeah, so I literally have the link saved in my bookmarks to go download it, and I never do because I don't want to, but I did find it, like the literal murder mystery game. It's like a sequel to it, whatever. But yeah, it was like just one of those games that was in the pack of games that I had.
Sounds like Seventh Guest or something.
No, it was literally called Murder Mystery something. Yeah, it seemed like a series. I think either the killer was or the person was a magician. I forget. I could probably tell it on stream on Saturday when I'm in front of my computer. But so that it was essentially a crude not crude because it's probably well produced for the time. 90s version of like Her Story, in that you would actually go interview the suspects while gathering clues and stuff. But it was like all pre-taped footage, so you click a button and it would like play a video essentially answering that question. And you had a time limit, from what I remember, and also you only could ask certain people, like interview them or ask them questions a certain amount of time before you would be locked out of being able to accuse them of being the killer or something. So
interesting.
Yeah, I never really solved it. I probably could do it easily now. I'm not sure. It feels like one of those games that you kind of figure it out.
Sounds like you need to play this game on stream, Mark.
Yeah, if I can figure out how to do it, but it feels like one of those games that because I played it multiple times and still never got it. But it feels like one of those games you play through it once and fail and go, I get the trick, and can kind of go through it. Because some of those games were not that complicated in the 90s.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to subject you to this because the FMV game I'm thinking of playing either on Sundays or another time is actually pretty fun and well made. So, but this game started my obsession with at least thinking about playing games like that come out or actually playing them. So, yeah, FMV games. Look for that on the channel soon.
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch you play weird FMV games.
Yeah, well, one of them I've already played and beaten. I'm playing it more for you guys, the audience out there. So
cool. We'll look forward to that. And I think that's going to wrap up our discussion on classic PC games, which is going to lead us into Retro Roulette.
Yeah.
Where we are going to talk about Diddy Kong Racing for the N64, also known as the game that's not Mario Kart.
Yep.
If you watched our stream a couple Mondays ago, you got to see me be incredibly upset about trying to play this game.
Yep.
Mark, do you want to get us started on this?
Yeah, so I played through it. I don't really know what the upsetment was. I played through those first levels, and then I went around the back and found the snow levels, and were able to play them. I don't know. It wasn't that. No. I get the frustration Tom was going through. Yeah, basically my enjoyment of the game came from I watched somebody play it on a stream or a YouTube video, saw that second area to go to, and was infinitely more, into it than I'm assuming Tom was by the end of the stream. Because, you don't have to go collect the coins then, which even the guy on stream who him and his friends loved the game, said, yeah, the coin thing is bullshit.
I'm glad they said it was bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm glad we figured that out after the fact.
Yeah, and I accidentally found the key, and I think it's the first or second level that one boss asked you about.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because of where I started, but it's like right near the start.
Really?
And it's sort of blocked by a rock if you're in a certain part, and then you can see it. It's one of the first two levels. I forget. It's literally you got to go off course, and then you sort of shoot back on off a ramp.
Interesting.
But the key is over there. But yeah, it's the best I can say about it is it's competent as a kart racer.
That's the best thing we could say about it.
Well, I'm getting to.
I'm kidding.
I think the main thing it does well is it's the first time that someone tried to really introduce other vehicles than just a kart racer. The hovercraft is bullshit. Which I find amazing that I think it's the second or third boss battle. You have to do it by hovercraft, and I don't know how people beat it on the first try. And the characters, not being traditionally known characters is interesting. They have stats that make no sense. I looked them up for Tom, and anything he was like, well, this guy's got to have this, right? And I looked, I'm like, nope, that person is not fast. That makes no sense. My favorite part is, just like with all Nintendo things, Diddy Kong is the Mario of this game in that he is mediocre across the board.
Of course.
All 3s out of 5 in every category. So he's the starter character. You were probably playing the best for top speed with Banjo, but a couple others are a better mix depending on your play style. But yeah. Would I play it over Mario Kart 64? Probably not, because I have more history with Mario Kart 64. But it's not like it's broken. It's not Crash Team Racing or anything.
Yeah. All right. Jen, what do you think?
So watching you, who you're definitely better at racing games than me, I thought I was going to hate the living shit out of this game. And I'm really bad at Mario Kart too, so I had really low expectations for myself. But I actually was surprised that I was better than I expected I was going to be in this game. I actually beat the first race on the first try. From watching you, though, when you figured out that you have to drift very strategically in this game, that helped me because I watched you, so I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have been as good right off the bat if I didn't watch your stream, Tom.
You're welcome.
But yeah, drifting, and not just drifting, like you almost have to tap the analog stick, not hold it down when you drift sometimes because the turns are so tight, or you can go flying off into the sand or into the water or wherever you wind up going, which slows you down or totally ruins the whole entire game for yourself. So drifting is definitely something that I knew that I had to do pretty early on. I mean, there are some power-ups which I found annoying that are placed right before the road kind of turns really sharply. It's kind of like a trap on some of those levels. I mean, the game is kind of, I found that it was kind of all over the place. Like, I didn't feel like any of the AI were any better than me. It was kind of just, if I took the lead early on, unless I really messed up, I probably was going to win. Like, I didn't feel like it was overly competitive with the AI. But that being said, it's really easy to go off track and get stuck and then be in like permanent 8th place for the rest of the game, or like 7th. I did notice, so I got through the first 3 levels of the game, and then there is no level 4, right? Like there's no door that says 4. It's
No.
1, 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
Because I drove around in the circle. I'm like, I'm not missing this door. And then I realized you just have to collect 4 balloons.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I got to beat another level. So I went back into a level I already beat. And for some reason at that point, every time I would hit a power up, like the speed boost, it would fling my car off the track. Like, I don't know what the heck was happening. My car would go flying off the bridge or like flying off the track into the sand. And I had done this race already and I knew that didn't happen. And then the last game that I played before I gave up, it flung my car sideways and the back tire got stuck in the ground. And I was just sitting there with my back tire in the ground and all my wheels are driving. And I'm like, what the fuck? So like, you know what? Whatever. I don't have to keep playing this because at the end of the day, it's just a kart racing game and it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to go get the balloon in the overworld to get to the next race.
Oh, gotcha. So it wouldn't have mattered me being in that race anyway.
No.
But
you have to go talk to the giant purple elephant thing.
Oh, the genie.
Genie, yeah.
Gotcha.
And he gives you can switch to a plane and you can go get. Tom did it on stream.
Gotcha.
To go get that balloon.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, so that was my experience with it. It was not easy, but it was easier than I expected, knowing how bad I am at Mario Kart, and also like seeing how difficult that one level is. But yeah, it wasn't as bad as I expected. I probably should have lower expectations for games going forward, so I'll be more impressed with them.
So I had always heard that Diddy Kong Racing was as good, or some people I've heard have said it was better than Mario, and I wholeheartedly disagree with it. Maybe on a multiplayer level, but I didn't play multiplayer. I played single player, and there is just so many things that don't work well in this game. Like, you can't reset your kart. So if you go off the track, you're kind of screwed. Unless there's a way to do it, and I just am not seeing. I didn't see it, or somebody didn't explain it to me, which is possible. But that was my first annoyance, is that you couldn't reset yourself after driving into the water, and you just couldn't get out. Like in Mario Kart, if you drive into the water, you automatically get picked up and put back on the track, which makes sense, because you can't drive in the water. If you're using a hovercraft, you can, but if you're using a kart, you cannot. I'm trying to think of what else was annoying. The boss battle was bullshit. Total bullshit.
And you didn't even have to fight the what is it? The octopus or?
It was the dinosaur.
Well, you had the dinosaur. I'm trying to think, what was the other boss I got to? It's a seal or something in the ice world. It's either a seal or a penguin that you race as well. Those are the other two I got to, was either seal or penguin and an octopus, and they were both bullshit as well. But one was slightly easier if you got ahead of him. He would never catch up, but getting ahead of him was the problem. But yeah, it was an interesting concept to have a boss battle, but it kind of failed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the boss battles in theory are cool, but in trying to get them to work, it just was so annoying. Like, the first boss battle should not be that difficult. It must have taken me, how many times do you think, Mark? Like 15 times to beat that stupid thing?
Yeah.
Just for the mere fact that you don't get in front of the boss like immediately, you're screwed. You're not getting past them again, because if you get close to them, they'll trample you and flatten you, and then you can't get past. So it was a thing.
Yep.
Overall, the game started out good.
Yeah.
I was enjoying it, and then it got super frustrating really fast, and it was just like, how could a kid play this? Just also, like, there's no, again, this is a game of its time where you don't know where anything is.
Right.
So if you don't have a guide or the manual, actually the manual didn't even help. I had the manual. It didn't help me at all. But like, there's no way to like figure out where you're supposed to go next.
Yeah.
Like, there's no character telling you, oh, you should go here. Or like, usually games will at least give you a hint, but this one, not so much. Like, Mark had to watch somebody else play the game in order to figure out where he had to go.
Yeah, I noticed that the third level, if you had never played that map yet, like me, when you go to accelerate forward, if you time it at the right time, you know how it forces you forward really fast?
Yeah.
The track instantly cuts to the left. So obviously the first thing I did was fly off the track into, I don't know if it was water. I think it was water. that's right there. So I'm like, well, I'm not winning this one. Stuff like that. I think you have to play this game so many times to wind up memorizing the tracks also and figure out like which speed boosts are smart to hit and which are going to force you into a wall around a blind turn, which there are plenty of those. So it's an experience playing this game for sure.
Definitely. All right. I guess let's get to
Let's judge
scores. Let's unfortunately tell people how much we enjoyed this. Jen, what do you give this for a score?
I gave it a 2.5 because I didn't wind up hating it as much as I thought I would. And it's not the worst game I've ever played. It's manageable. It is what it is. It's a kart racing game. I would pick Mario Kart over this game any day, even though I suck at it. I was annoyed that you have to finish first to progress, but I think that's just how some of the racing games are. And I'll just have to deal with it. But yeah, 2.5 out of 5 was my score.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, just remember, Jen, second is the first loser.
Yeah, if you're not first, you're last.
Yes. So I'll give it a 3 out of 5. It's well made, 6 out of 10. It's got, characters are interesting. I like that it's Conquer before he has a bad fur day. Which is a really, really intriguing thing of video game history. I could see myself having fun with it back in the day, but now seeing better versions of Mario Kart sort of kills this kind of racer. And also, if you haven't, go play the spiritual successor to this, which is Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, or Transformed, which is really good. And probably is as close to being taking a run at Mario Kart as any game has ever done. So yeah, that's it. The 3 out of 5. Don't go back and play it. Just go play the Sonic Racing.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 2 out of 5 because I was not happy with it. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if I knew if it gave me some sort of idea of where to go, or what to do, but it just didn't do that. So, and there wasn't there was nothing spectacular with the music. Usually the music will at least, pull it out a little bit for me, but no, nothing made me want to ever play the game again. Yeah. So 2 out of 5. All right. Well, I think it's time to spin the wheel.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Interesting game. Interesting. This one, I think we're going to have some fun with. And it's Driver 2 for the PlayStation 1. So Driver 2 is kind of infamous in that it's the first game that you can kind of get out of your car and steal cars in a 3-dimensional space before Grand Theft Auto did it. So I think this should be interesting. It's not. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is this like a deep impact to Grand Theft Auto's Armageddon?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
I'd agree with that. But yeah, I'd say this should be interesting because it's a driving game, but at the same time you can get out of your car and do other things. And I would recommend at least play. I'd say start out with the just take a drive mode and then try the story because you kind of got to get used to the way the cars drive. I know we're playing another driving game. I'm sorry. It's not a racing game though, so it's different, I guess.
That's okay.
As long as you're okay, I could spin it again if we really need to.
No, it's fine. Let fate have its hand at things.
Okay. I mean, this is just showing the ridiculousness of this wheel because I have hundreds of other games, but I feel like every time we spin this dumb thing, it's a racing game or a driving game of some sort. But all right, I think it'll be interesting. So come watch us play or watch me play tonight on our Twitch channel. And I think that's probably a good spot to call it an evening. We'll get some plugs out of the way, and then we'll be on our way. Mark, you want to give everybody our information on all of our other family of podcasts?
Yeah. So Stranger Damies, our D&D podcast, airs every other Wednesday for episodes. The in-between weeks will be, special content, whether it's an interview breakdown of something that happened, cool concept, and just how I decided on doing it, or how a character decided to do something during a level up or whatever, or email questions. Maybe we'll do that at some point. So just find that. We stream on twitch.tv/GameVaultPod. It'll probably be, I believe the 14th is a Sunday. That'll probably be the next game time. Possibly the 7th. Just keep an eye out on at Stranger Damies on Twitter for that. One of our players is moving, so we don't know how set up they'll be by the 7th. But the 14th will work fine. So be sure at Stranger Damies Instagram and Twitter. Listen to that. And I think the videos may end up on YouTube, might not. Oh, I'm still working that out with Tom. Thursdays are They Call This a Movie. It's our movie podcast. You can search for it by They Call This a Movie. We're on Spreaker, as well as anywhere else you get your podcast. Instagram and Twitter is at the main Damie. So be sure to check that out. And our maindamie.com is our website where if you like to listen to stuff on a browser, you can listen to all of our podcasts there. And you can also read some of the writing we have. So it's a nice one-stop shop for everything we do here. And Jen, what's our stream schedule looks like?
So as Mark mentioned and Tom mentioned, tonight is our Retro Roulette stream. Usually they start at 9 p.m., but we always try to give you a heads up on our Twitter account, which is just at GameVaultPod. The following week will not be Retro Roulette. We trade off with Tom's Retro Mondays. He is still continuing his playthrough of Suikoden. Then Tuesdays are always a day off for us here. Wednesday, we do Warzone Wednesdays, where the three of us jump on Call of Duty Warzone and have some fun times plundering it up. Thursdays is Trails Thursdays for now. We're getting down to the finale of the game. Possibly have another 2 streams left, we're thinking. So stay tuned for what we're going to be playing after that. But please feel free to join us for the finale of the game, even if you haven't been there yet. It's very interesting. So I think you'll have fun hanging out with us in the chat and coming up with some story predictions as well. Then Fridays and Saturdays always alternate depending on when we record this podcast. So Fridays and Saturdays are always Dead by Daylight with Mark and myself. And then Sundays is our grab bag day when we're not streaming D&D. It could be any number of games that we decide. It used to be D&D or DBD, but we decided we're going to start changing that up now. So just as a reminder, again, check us out on Twitter if you ever want to know what we're playing and when we're going to go live, just so you're on top of that.
Awesome. All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed our conversation this evening. Feel free to get in contact with us and let us know what you think. If you had any PC games that you thought of while we were talking that you want to let us know about or discuss, feel free to reach out to us on Twitter. We'd be happy to engage. We would always like extending the conversation. Let's see. Oh, last but not least, we are an affiliate of Stone Age Gamer. If you have any need for retro or modern power supplies, cables, controllers, EverDrives, memory cards, anything, feel free to go check that out. We have a link in our description that anytime you use that and purchase something through it, it gives us a little kickback and helps us make these podcasts and streams and everything better. So we would greatly appreciate that. So I think that will do it for this evening. Everybody stay safe out there. Be nice to each other. And for Mark and Jenny, I am Tom, and we will catch you guys in the next one.